Yeah, now.
Hello and welcome to the Dicebreaker Podcast. It's Friday. We're back with episode 97, Redux.
Woo!
For anyone who joined us last week, we had a fairly disastrous tech everything. So unfortunately, we couldn't do the podcast last week. So this is episode 97, but again. And this time it will last longer than 5 minutes of us going, oh God, why is nothing working?
However,
I'm Matt Jarvis. I'm the host of this here podcast, and I'm joined this week by three of the team. I'm joined. Let's kick off a recent addition to the team, Maddie Cullen, joining us for not your first podcast, but let's hope your first full podcast this time.
Hello! Thank you for having me again. And fingers crossed that I'm not cursed and it's not just me and it will work.
Not at all.
No.
It just seems that every stream we try and do, something breaks somewhere, and it's just a question of how enormous the issue is at the time. But yeah, good to have you on. Also joining us this week, Alex Meehan.
Hi, yeah, I'm back after
Baby.
Yeah. I'm so predictable you're even doing it. After a period of being off with the Rona, it's not nice. Spoiler alert, it sucks.
Yeah.
Way.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I'm
Wow.
back. Hi. Yeah, no. I was gonna say, up front, we may have a few technical issues.
Yeah, I was about to jump in with that, yeah.
Don't worry about it. You'll still be able to hear us, and ultimately that's the most important part.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a podcast. It's ultimately an auditory experience. The visuals is just a little cherry on top. Of course, rounding out the team, finally, this week, Liv Kennedy. Hello.
Hi
How
there,
are you?
it's me, Liv Kennedy, with the technical issue rundown. So I've been informed that I'm a bit loud. I've turned myself down. I've turned everyone else up. Hope that helps. And also, sometimes our feeds will be popping in and out, but don't worry, you can hear us. Also, big love.
Yeah, but don't worry. It's like a cat when like the cat has to be in the same room as you sometimes because if it's not there, then it doesn't know you're still here. But don't worry, it's not like that. Even though you can't see us, we're still gonna
We're
be
always
here.
with you.
Yeah, we'll be scratching at your door with our voices.
Yeah.
The Dicebreaker podcast experience.
Yeah, you're in the toilet,
Scratching at your earlobes.
trying to have a moment of privacy, and the cat is trying to come in. You're like, there's nothing going on here.
Cats do love
cat.
toilets. I
Yeah.
don't know what it is.
Oh, they do.
Cats don't
They
like
do.
don't like water, but cats apparently do love toilet water.
Yeah, you're just like, just doing your thing in the bathroom.
What thing?
One
And
of two
then-
things
Yeah.
normally, yeah.
The cat just on the toilet or something, and the
Just
cat
on the
is-
toilet. Oh,
You
wait,
know,
you're on
my
the toilet.
goodness.
Sorry, I
Yes,
thought you
I'm
meant
on
the
the
cat was on the toilet.
And then the cat is like growling outside of the door, and you're like, I'm not going to get up and let you in. And
No.
eventually, of course, you have to, because if you don't, it will just not stop that.
Yeah.
And then it like looks around as if there's like a bullrog in there or something.
I mean, I
And
have
if
to
it
let my
doesn't-
cats in if they're scratching at the door, because otherwise they
Yeah.
will protest and it may be dirty. So
Well, they do the thing where they pull the carpet up outside
Yeah.
of the door, and then they actually pull it up,
Mhm.
flooring it so much, and then you're in trouble.
So desperate to get into the bathroom.
No,
So-
like, or when you're in the
so-
bath and you're like, I'm not getting out of the bath to open the damn door for you, cat.
They do end up just disappointed because they come in, they're like, oh, there is
This is
nothing in
it.
here. And it's like, yeah,
This is
same as
like
always.
The room
What did
full
you
of like cold
expect?
tiles and wetness most of the time. Isn't
Your
it?
worst.
It's not a cat zone.
No.
Mm.
But what is a cat zone is this podcast where we talk
Hey!
about board games and tabletop RPGs and all kinds of tabletop things.
Things.
And as usual, we kick off by chatting about what we've been up to this week. So let's kick off this week with Maddie. We've been playing. What have you been up to?
I have been playing some old school essentials,
Yeah.
which has been very fun. But nothing that I thought I would ever get into. Like, I'm a big D&D fan. I love 5e, and that's all I've ever played. And then I just kind of wound up looking online at a really cool dungeon, and then I played the dungeon, and now I'm obsessed, and it's really, really fun. It's just great. Really, really cool combat. Lots of like things when you kind of start role playing and you're like, I want to go and like cut someone's arm off so they can't attack me anymore. You can do that in OSE. You can do all of the combat things you kind of wish you could do in D&D, and it's great. It's really, really fun.
Is it based on, because it's an OSR game, right? So is it based on like original like first edition D&D, or is it like a slightly later edition?
Yeah, I think it's like original first edition. So it does have some like extra rules about like your torch is running out and stuff, and like timing that constantly, which like is slightly stressful, but it's worth it for the amazing dungeons and like the rest of it. It's really good.
I'm always torn between like the need for realism and also just like I want to swing a sword around. You know,
yeah.
I want to swing a sword.
Swing a sword, please. Papa.
That's the balance for every RPG: the realism and wanting to swing a sword around. And I think it gets a good mix, perfect balance.
Nice. You been playing much else other than old school Essentials?
Yes, I have been. What did I even put down that I was playing? Oh, I haven't played it yet, but I've been thinking a lot about Kids on Bikes, which is arriving, the rulebook, this weekend. I've been very excited. I've just been looking up everything I can about it before it arrives because I'm so excited. I can't wait. So it just looks really, really fun. I just desperately want to do like a Stranger Things, Gravity Falls, like little just
slaps.
hanging out, doing little Scooby-Doo adventures. I'm really excited for that. I've just been doing lots of like planning and making Pinterest boards and just getting a lot of art together, which is like kind of nothing. I'm just looking at pictures, but it feels very fun.
No, it's
and I'm having a great time.
It's all fun, right? You're setting the tone. Like,
exactly.
Yeah.
Inspiration.
I mean, like, I know Kids on Bikes has like really strong 80s nostalgia vibes, which I personally don't get because I wasn't alive during the 80s, and therefore have no nostalgia for the period. But obviously, like there's been like a renaissance of that recently with stuff like Stranger Things, and Kids on Bikes definitely feels like it's playing into
everyone that was alive then is now old enough to be making all of the things, so that's just like where we're at right now.
Kids on Bikes, Tales from the Loop,
Kids on Brooms.
Kids on Brooms is like a wizarding
No, I know it is, but like it's
it could be 80s wizards though.
Could
I
be
would love to see that.
Yeah. 80s wizards. True.
Yeah,
I feel like. Oh, sorry.
Oh, go on.
I was gonna say even with a lot more OSR games recently, like the old school revival stuff, like old school Essentials. It's like there's a lot of people just going like, yeah, like I kind of wish games were kind of like they were in the 70s or 80s, and that stuff exists as much as it does for people can play like D&D 5e if they want to, but people can also just play like 4 trillion different games that are based on original D&D. And like let you count how long your torch lasts if that's the thing you like.
Don't want
I really think it was
tunnels and trolls,
I definitely did think it was all just like pure nostalgia based, and I was like, well, I didn't play old D&D or anything. Like, I wasn't alive in the 80s. Why would I want to do this? But there are definitely some really, really good things in there, and like if you pick that apart, and I think like I found OSE has definitely been updated. Like you don't have to do like THACO and stuff. Like that's what I was like, I don't want to do that. I don't understand. It's worse. Why would we go back to that? And you don't have to. So
when you say, did you say THACO? Is that the like advanced edition? No, advanced D&D. What is that one?
That's like the 2-hit armor class.
Oh, right. So it's like the really convoluted rules they had to calculate armor class originally. Right?
2-hit armor class 0. Yeah, we have to like add numbers up to like work out. Yeah, it's very confusing. Like the lower number you have, the harder it is to hit you compared to like ascending armor class, which we obviously have in 5e now, where it's like the higher your armor, the harder it is to hit you, which just makes more sense because bigger number, harder to reach.
Yeah, Jan says I want a taco now. I thought I was just thinking about tacos. You said taco, and I was like,
I'm so sorry.
Looks like me and Jan are heading out for tacos after this. All right, okay. Fine.
Well, tonight doing it. Ordering tacos.
Nice.
Faco and tacos is like that's a good
Yeah,
somewhere a board game
social.
cafe needs to do Faco and
Yeah.
tacos.
Although
Yeah,
if
but
I
then
did
you
see that
have
on a
to-
sign,
You have
I
to
would
do
be
the
put off.
You have to do the Faco bit, and I don't want that. I
Yeah,
just want the
no.
taco.
Yeah, well, okay, fair enough. It's just taco and tacos. That's fine.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah,
Sign me up.
taco no
Yeah.
taco. That's
I mean, honestly, I think we should do like a monthly social where we like one of us like runs an RPG and we eat a different kind of cuisine. That's what I think we should do.
A relevant cuisine. So
Yeah.
we're playing OSE. We will eat tacos for Thaco.
yeah,
Yeah.
that's good.
First
Okay,
one's
what's
sorted.
let's we're on this train now, so let's ride it to the end. What's the D&D pairing? Like, what's the D&D meal?
Ooh,
Oh,
like a
it's like
stew.
stew and like bread and
Yeah, like
something-
little meats
it-
and cheeses.
It
Mm.
works, and there's plenty of substance to it, but it's not the most exciting meal.
Mhm.
Sure.
That's
Yeah.
what I would say. You have
what's-
to do
Yeah.
It's D&D rations, which is something that me and Maddie have been discussing in depth recently.
Yes.
Because we're coming up with like a few ideas here and there. Basically, we want to make each other a bag of rations for D&D, and we're gonna make it happen. And
One day we're going to come into lunch, each with a little handkerchief for each other,
Yeah.
and hand it over and
Like
open
lemon
up.
spread.
yeah,
Yeah, and it'll have
Wow,
different
Yeah.
options for
lemon
you to
spread.
try.
Yeah,
Yeah. just like sugar.
I imagine it would be
Mhm.
some form of dried meat.
yeah, probably
Yeah.
get some jerky.
Stick of dried meat, some undescribable.
I mean, I'm not going to come
creature.
in and give Maddie, who does not eat meat, some dried
No.
meat.
You can
go.
get vegan jerky. It's good.
Yeah,
The
that's
vegan
true.
jerky is really good.
Verky.
Turkey?
Yeah.
Verky rations.
Verky
delicious
rations.
turkey.
I imagine it would be that, like, a hunk of stale bread.
Mhm.
Maybe some dried fruit, because you want stuff that's gonna last, right? Because
You do,
Yeah.
yeah.
you're on a
Non-perishables.
long voyage. You
Mhm.
don't want the finest
Astronaut ice
volleyball.
Mm,
Yeah, just that thrown in as well.
yeah, that's
yeah,
for some
what,
kind of alien RPG. Astronaut ice cream.
Deadlands.
Sci-fi rations we could do.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Deadlands, beans. Bacon.
Beans, yeah, just
Mhm.
beans in a can. Blades in
Beans
the
in a
dark is
can.
anything you can cut with a knife, but you have to do it in a
Mhm.
dark room, which is
Oh.
dangerous.
Ooh.
Just like trying to
That's
I don't know,
very
slice
vague.
cheese.
I'm not into that. Come on,
Okay,
you've got to be more
specifically-
specific.
Mhm.
Right, what's something you cut with a knife? Cheese.
What?
Right,
Okay.
you have to serve up cheese in a darkened
Cheese
room,
board?
and that's blades in the dark.
Cheese board. Cheese
Yeah,
and
but it's
wine.
just stained with like where you've caught yourself with the knife as you've tried to
I don't like
just nick
that.
yourself.
It's dark, so it's
That's
okay.
why
we don't
I'm
know.
not going to bring a cheese board to my Blades in the Dark session. I'm not doing it.
I can't imagine anything less blades in the
Yeah.
dark than a cheese board, to be fair, because like
Hey,
because that game takes place in like a steampunk, like you're among criminals, they're all kind of
to be
you know,
honest,
it's
yeah.
like nobody's turning up to plan a heist of a charcuterie board.
No.
I mean,
Maybe they should be.
Yeah.
I would
Maybe,
be
yeah.
much more up for planning a heist if I had a nice little like
I guess that's
cheeses to pick at.
That's the
That-
Ocean's 11 approach to heisting. Is like somebody turns up with
Brad
charcuterie,
Pitt turns
someone's
up
ordering
for
room
me.
service.
Maddie Wrongload says Blades in the Dark feels like it would be suet with eels in. No, yeah. No,
Yeah.
okay.
Oh,
Realizing
no.
this, it would be eels. Some
Yeah.
smoked
eels in a
eel
can,
or
eel pie.
eel guts, eel pie.
Yeah.
Yeah, just a whole eel. Just slapping it against a rock.
Oh no!
Oh, jeez. Well, look forward to the Dicebreaker
Yeah,
RPG recipe book.
D&D,
Eels.
dinner and
Dessert.
Dessert, yeah.
Oh.
Well,
Dessert
or
is
dinner and
also
drinks. You can
eel.
have your, you know,
Drinks if you want. Mm-hmm. Oh, now what's
Eel
eel
sweet?
trifle.
eel trifle. No, I'm okay. Like, I'm
Mm.
all right without
Yeah.
eel trifle.
Yeah, no, I'm good.
Could it just be like coiled up in the bowl in like a spiral?
Oh yeah,
Oh,
imagine just like a
cute.
Mr. Whippy machine. Other
Oh,
soft serve
no.
ice creams are available, but it's just an eel that curls out onto a cone.
But the
Yeah.
eel is like.
I'm just looking up at you. Yeah, delicious.
No.
Yeah, and it'd be me serving it to you, going, "Hey, what, darling? I hope you like it."
Thank you, man.
Oh,
I really seal to
jeez.
see.
I don't want to hear what the eel ice cream van plays as it comes down the street.
It's the same
haunting
sound as
the-
the eel.
haunting hearts of
No.
all.
It would play eels up inside you. Find an entrance where they can. Eels. Do you
What's
not know this song?
that?
Come
No,
on.
I don't. Come
Well,
on,
the
Mom.
Mighty Bush was a long time ago.
Mighty
It's-
Bush.
Oh, I don't know.
There was a man who it was about eels. He liked eels.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah.
Maybe you can go into business partnership with him then for your
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know where he is now, but
Ooh.
maybe he's in.
I've
Tweet
got-
him, say business idea.
I've got your business
Like, what do you
business
think?
name as well. It's Eels on Wheels, Nian. There you are.
Eels
Oh,
on Wheels is good.
Ooh, and then I'll
Ooh.
get Wheels involved.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
That's
Eels
a
on
different
eels on
business proposition.
wheels. And then you put some eels on top of wheels, and then it's eels on wheels on eels. No, on wheels. Yeah.
I feel like this
done.
has spiraled out. of control,
Yeah,
like,
we hopped on the train, we rode it to the end, and then we crashed it through the side of the land. Maddie, have you been playing anything else recently?
I don't know if I should say if I've been playing anything else if Kids on Bikes turns to Eel Van.
That will be the name of the podcast, by the way. This episode, Eel Van.
Yeah.
Eel Van. I love
Yeah.
that. The picture of you in an ice cream van.
Yeah.
Leaning out.
Yeah. Me and an eel in an ice cream van.
Oh,
I don't
got
eat
it.
the eel. It's my partner.
It's my business partner. Don't worry about it.
Have I been playing anything else? Yeah, I think like I said in the last Secret Lost episode of the podcast, I'm DMing Wild Beyond the Witchlight. So yeah, just carrying on with that. It was our off week. We do every other week this week, but I've been planning, reading ahead, preparing, ready to steal more precious items from my players and
Ooh.
fun things like that.
Fun fact that Maddie is DMing this campaign, but I'm currently playing this campaign in a
Yeah.
separate thing instance. So it's fun being on both sides. Ooh.
It was fun. We've been discussing some notes. You are a lot further than my players, though. They're
Yeah.
still in the carnival starting area, and we're about to be in our
Oh.
4th session. So they've just done like every ride you can, which is kind of fun.
That's fun. Yeah. No, that's
Yeah.
pretty much what we did. Yeah. Just getting as much out of this carnival as we possibly can before we're like,
Mhm.
okay, fine, we'll follow the leads that you've been laying out.
Do the adventure.
Mhm.
Why can't the whole adventure just be a day at the carnival? I don't understand why it has to.
I mean, it could be. There is a mystery. You don't have to solve it. You could just
No.
hang out and be like, all
Yeah.
right, we're gonna head off now. Had a good
Yeah.
time. Anyway, have
Been
fun.
on the
Yeah.
dodgem.
Yeah,
I've
I
had
can't believe
some
we spent this whole
cotton
session
candy.
just waiting in a queue to get on this one ride. Like, we
I
really
mean,
should
yeah,
have got
that's
one of those express tickets.
Disneyland. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean,
Yeah.
it's not like Dodgems either, me, and something that you would be a fan of, I think, and it's there are snail races.
What?
Yeah.
Yes.
Right. Exactly.
Oh no, I'm being lured over to D&D.
There you are. Come
It's
join us.
really fun.
Very good.
Snail races. Wait, I'll need to clarify something.
Yes.
Mhm.
Do you sit on the snail?
Yes, you do.
Yes.
Oh my god, this is even better than I expected. I thought you just bet on some snails
you
doing
sit-
some racing, which
That
I'm
was enough for
already-
you.
Yeah.
I was excited about, but you sit on the snail.
Uh-huh.
do.
They all have different names.
Yeah.
Oh my
You can pick
God.
one.
The
I gave them
problem
all different
is-
personalities.
Yeah.
They're great.
If I did play this, I would never leave
No,
the
that's
snail
true.
bet. Everyone else would be like, we want to go and look at this. And I'll be like, go on, then.
All
I'm
about
here.
me.
This is my life now. I tend to the snail.
That's allowed. I feel like you could, make a whole campaign out of you looking after snails and like
Yeah.
growing your snail like career as a jockey.
Oh my god, snail career.
You just went feral. I love that.
I used to have pet snails, this is a true story.
I know a lot of
Did
people with pet
you?
snails. Yeah.
Yeah.
Like
they
the
were
big ones.
the big
or
ones.
Just...
The
Oh.
big African land snails. I used to have
Wow.
some and I kept them in a tank.
Was
And
it like as a kid?
as a child, I was obsessed with insects, particularly snails. I like them very
The
much.
goofy ones.
And my mum was like, okay, I will buy you them. They're
Aw.
pretty cheap.
That was
Uh,
like worst pets you could get.
They
Much-
were, I will be entirely honest with you, they weren't great. There was 2 of them and they used to eat a lot. And they sort of went around
Mm.
and doing their snail thing. And then they just kept having a lot of babies. And I was like, please stop.
Oh.
Because I don't want to look after these.
How-
Because I don't know how you incubate
Yeah.
snail
Mm.
eggs.
Oh.
But all they wanted to do was basically have sex.
Uh-huh.
And they
Snails-
died.
snails
They
are so
died
randy.
shortly
They
after.
died. God.
Oh, is it like what's the sci-fi thing where like you give birth to something and then you immediately die? What is that?
No, but it wasn't like that because they had multiple batches of eggs. It's
Right.
just like if you want the eggs to hatch properly, you need to like take them and like put them in a special thing and like I didn't want more snails. I just wanted two. So I was like, please to stop. But I couldn't keep them apart. They just
Oh,
and
for
in
the
the end
True love.
they
Yeah.
passed away.
Oh.
Apparently
Romeo
and
it
Juliet story.
happens. The
Shell,
snails they
yeah.
just exhaust themselves.
Jesus.
I mean, it doesn't seem like they have much energy to start with, so yeah, I can see that. Yeah.
I mean, we don't have much else to do with that.
Yeah.
Maybe
is
we're only
true.
supposed to have one, so they don't,
God.
So there you go. You learned something interesting today, folks.
And
I
learn
did.
to develop snail
Do-
contraception, That's what I learned.
Yeah, I was gonna say like are snails like one of those insects that can kind of be like
I mean, technically,
just
they're
one gender,
mollusks,
or yeah,
but-
like what's
Sorry,
don't
I'm
have to get into the details,
speaking
but-
about snails. They don't have a gender. They are.
yeah, so
Yeah,
Good for
I'm trying to
them.
remember what it's called specifically,
Mm.
but they can be whatever. They're not really anything. They
Hell
don't
yeah.
need specific genitals,
Mhm.
but
so
they
you can't
just
plan what kind of snails to get. You just
No,
got to-
exactly. You can't avoid. If you've got more
No.
than one snail in there, they're
Mm.
probably going to end up doing something.
It's a life lesson for everybody.
Yeah,
Yeah.
this is my warning. If you ever have pet snails,
Mhm.
be prepared to like
Prepare yourself.
maybe either keep them in separate areas or
Romeo and
you know,
Juliet.
Mm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
obviously if you want to raise an entire
Colony
family
of
of
snails.
snails,
Yeah.
a colony of snails, then go ahead. Like they will do the work for you.
Sweet.
Mhm.
Oh, there
Yeah.
you go.
Right. This feels like so.
There we go.
I'm just a quick little interjection. So there's this one episode of My Brother and Me, which everyone
Yes.
got really mad
Mhm.
at. It's called War with Grandpa, where the brothers who usually take the time to answer people's questions and stuff did not do that for the entire hour-long episode and just spoke about this film with like Robert De Niro where he's having a war with his grandchild. And they spoke about this for the entire episode. This feels like it has War with Grandpa energy.
Yeah,
So we should move away from
I
snails.
feel like
Yeah, we
that's
should get back on
I
track.
feel like that's a film I should know. By the way,
Probably.
considering my
history.
interest in bad films, particularly ones involving Robert De Niro. There's a lot of them.
There are many.
Yeah. Mhm.
He
Yeah,
does
no,
not
it is
care
real.
anymore.
It is real.
All right.
Yes.
Yeah, so that's me.
That's everything that you've been playing, Maddie. As we were chatting about Wild Beyond the Witchlight, Liv, shall we move on over to you?
Okay. All right. Hi, I'm Liv. I also played Wild Beyond the Witchlight as a player. Spoilers for Wild Beyond the Witchlight, kind of. Partially. Maybe. What? No spoilers? Fine, no spoilers. I'm playing a bunny
Wow.
artificer. It's great. Spoilers for my campaign, which you will never see. Yeah, she lost something. Now she's found it. That's what I'll say.
Oh,
Yeah,
a journey.
yeah. It's been an arc, a real good arc. Also been playing my homebrew D&D session, which I spoke in depth about on the painting stream yesterday. So if you want to see me ramble on while Maddie diligently paints her mini.
I loved it. There were some great stories.
Yeah, I thought it was pretty good. So check that out from yesterday.
There was some
Um,
interesting stuff coming out of that stream. At the end of the
Oh.
day, I just opened up Slack and I'm just greeted by this abomination.
Oh,
The
yeah.
Barbie elephant.
Yeah, this picture of this horrible elephant. Yeah, it looks like a yassified elephant.
Yeah.
Yes, it does.
The yassification of elephants.
Yeah, it has begun.
Oh,
It's because my partner Chloe put in the stream chat and there's the face. If anyone was in the chat
Yeah.
yesterday, feel free to put the face in the chat here today. But it's the emoji eye, a set of lips, and another emoji eye.
yeah.
And then we both think it's really funny. And I was like, I in the evening when I got home, I was like, I cannot believe you brought the this cursed energy to the stream. And then it all escalated way too quickly. But yeah, it was a good stream. Check it out.
It was fun.
It's fun. Yeah, so apart from that as well, I'm playing tonight with I'm a part of a two-shot D&D extravaganza where we're a part of the Strixhaven world, so basically like the magical school world of D&D. Yeah, and we're all playing like basically it's like a Mean Girls one shot where basically we're all like, oh my god, like we're at a party and we're really popular, but like also magic. And it is truly
Amazing.
spectacular. It's a lot of fun. And my character is a 12th level what's it called, trickster cleric, and it's a lot of fun to play, and I'm having a lot of fun with it. Moving away from D&D, I've also played. I introduced Maddie to Betrayal at the House on the Hill. Yeah, which Maddie had not played before, and we were like, well, seeing as people have put the face in the chat. Thank you, everyone. Yeah, so seeing as the 3rd edition is coming out pretty soon.
Get hype.
Yeah, get hype, everyone. I was like, oh, let's take a look at this now. Yeah, so we played. It was fun. It was just the two of us. It's not. I think it's meant to be 3 players, and we just
it's not ideal for that.
No. So what
I still had
happened-
fun.
Yeah, I had fun too. Yeah. Maddie had to unleash a horde of zombies upon my one character. And because it was like, don't worry, they're slow. And it's like, well, that's fine when you don't, break your flashlight so that you can only move one step at a time and you have no one else to get any flashlight batteries off of. So then you perish. So yeah.
I felt so bad. I just cornered you in the chapel and I was like,
Gotcha.
Sorry.
It'll be like that.
Yeah,
It'll be like that. When the 3rd edition arrives, we should do a proper game because that is one of my favorite. It's broken as hell.
Yeah.
I wonder whether the 3rd edition is going to fix it a bit. I would like them to do a complete do-over on the rulebook because one of the biggest complaints about that game is that the rulebook is not well written.
Yeah, they fixed a lot of that stuff in Betrayal Legacy, so I'd hope that they bring across a lot of the changes that they made in Legacy to the original game, because
feels like
Legacy is still very close to Betrayal as it was, but it's improved in a number of ways.
It feels like they're doing like a proper do-over on it though. Like I am, like I said in the past, I am exceedingly impressed by how much they seem to have put into this 3rd edition. Like it is not just here's a new front cover and some new miniatures. It's like it seems to be a full-on, like almost like a sort of remake, which I am here for. Yeah, those scabby old miniatures you saw there, Maddie. They are long gone.
I loved the miniatures.
Oh, they're wonderful. They look like they're melting. I love it.
Melting and screaming.
It felt apt.
Yeah, it did. It's true. Yeah, so apart from that, we also learned how to play King Domino with Matt this week.
Yeah.
We played yesterday. It was good. I like King Domino. I've said a lot about King Domino in the past, mainly Queen Domino, because I still think Queen Domino is better, but the original King Domino, still a good game. Like, plays really fast. It's good fun. What did you both think coming to it for the first time?
I really liked it. Yeah, I was very bad at it, but I really liked it.
No, I think the key was, I kept putting my little meeple first, so I'd get first pick of everything, and I think that's pretty key to be a winning strategy.
I really just thought I had it in the bag at the beginning, and I really was just waiting on a few things to pay off, and they did not pay off. I still had loads of fun. So
yeah, me too. I think I'd like to add it to my collection. Yeah.
Whoa.
Yeah, King Domino's it is one of those games that I would literally recommend to anyone. Because I think it is like a real like modern classic to use like that phrase. But yeah, like I've played that game a lot, and I think the thing that I can do now that I couldn't do for a long time is I spent so many games where I'd get to the end and just be like, oh no, like I've got 2 gaps and they are not together, so I can't put this domino down at the end. And it's just like my whole plan has
Worst.
fallen apart. And it feels twice as bad for some reason because there are 2 separate gaps rather than just the one.
Yeah.
But it's like, I've made a mess of this.
Yeah, that was me last time.
Something that I'll mention quickly, which I didn't list on the doc, was that we were talking to Chase about the Jurassic World Legacy of Isla Nublar game, which we will go into more depth on the channel in the next few weeks and stuff. But from what we heard from Chase, seems like it's very exciting. Very interesting.
It sounds so good. Like, sounds like there's like incredible attention to detail and like theatrics and like literally everything you do. And I'm so down for that.
Yeah, same. Like, it does everything you want from like a legacy game. Like, as you progress, there'll be like little envelopes full of like character reveals and like minis and stuff like that. And it's like, that sounds really cool to me. You play specific characters that like have different powers, and there are different things that you should do to look after the park. And it's kind of like a management game in that respect. But like with lots of different elements. From what we heard, it sounds real good. So I am excited to actually give that a go. Yeah.
I'm excited because even though it's called Jurassic World, because apparently that's now the name of the franchise, quote unquote. Like it very much includes Jurassic Park, which you know is, having watched the original trilogy, it's the best one and the one that we really care about. Although I have a fondness for 3. But like the fact that it got that and the art style's really cool and it includes like those characters that you really like. Laura Dern's in it, so you know, I'm happy.
Yeah, what else do you want?
Yeah, what else do you want? Oh, Dennis Nedry's in it. What the hell? He's also in it. Yeah, I hope that they have a little. Well, to be honest, you don't need to do that. Just open YouTube on your phone and just play the Jurassic Park theme. Just on repeat.
I remember having like a board game night many years ago, and we were waiting for a wrestling show that was kicking off at about midnight, and we went down into town because I was living in Canterbury at the time, and we just picked up some board games and came back and ordered way too much pizza. Wow. And then we played board games for about 5 or 6 hours while we were waiting for the show to start. So from about 6 o'clock in the evening onwards. And in the background, we had the Blu-ray of Jurassic Park, but in Japanese, and was just playing on a loop, like those whole 5-6 hours. So we were just playing like Carcassonne.
This is the kind of stuff they put on in like clubs and stuff. Like they just put on like. Have you never gone to a club and they just have a film on in the background? Like
I mean sometimes, but like I don't often like turn my living room into like club vibes. But for whatever reason, like we put it on and it was just playing in Japanese in the background, like dubbed in Japanese.
Why?
I don't know. I can't remember why. I can't remember if the original Blu-ray was in Japanese and it was just like the default language, or I can't remember.
That feels like one of those things where you're like in a coma and it's like the one tell that you're in a coma because you're like, oh, that's something really weird, and they're like playing it over and over in the hospital for you. That's what that sounds like to me.
Yeah. It's like,
are you in a coma? Are we all a figment?
I don't know. Yeah, maybe I'm just living Groundhog Day, but it's just watching Jurassic Park in Japanese again and again.
I'm real. Please, Matt.
Yeah. Just don't know. It could all be in Matt's imagination.
I would love it if we would. That means everyone else is everyone watching or listening. Okay, hopefully not. Anyway, there was that, and also we, myself and Matt, played Pokemon trading card game live.
We did. It's a lot of words. It's a lot of words in that title. But we finally got it to work because it's in a limited beta at the moment. So if you live in Canada, or you at least tell the internet that you live in Canada, you too can play Pokemon TCG live. Which is we eventually got it to work, Liv. And I don't know about you, but it's it does that Pokemon thing. You can play the Pokemon cards.
And they do that thing. You can play the Pokemon trading card game online. That's great. That's what you
confirmed.
Want.
It has Pokemon cards and you can play them.
Yeah.
But I think it's pretty solid as far as it goes. Like I So, like, I've played Magic Arena, I played the Yu-Gi-Oh! Master Duel, and now obviously Pokemon TCG Live. And I played previously Pokemon TCG Online, which this will eventually replace. So it's kind of the new digital home of Pokemon.
The hot
And
new thing that all the kids play.
Yeah, and I think it looks better than the old one, as you'd expect. Like, I don't think the visuals are
Amazing.
like,
no.
yeah, like in Master Duel, for instance, you play on backgrounds and you can customize them, and as you get damaged, they start to crack, and like things, you have like a little companion that sits to the side, and it's all very kind of alive. And in Pokemon TCG Live, you play on like this grid. It's kind of like grey-white grid. And when you play certain cards, they, you know, if you play a psychic card, it ripples out with purple.
Whoa.
And that's kind of cool. But then it just goes kind of back to being grey again. So it's like you get little bursts of colour, but it's quite like, I don't know, it feels like oddly sterile at points.
Yeah, I mean, the online was like that. Online looked even worse. Like, online looked like an MS Paint drawing thing. But, like, at least this one, the characters don't look absolutely horrendous. But, like, yeah, it does feel like it still baffles me they don't put more effort into it, because, like, you look at, you know, its competitors like Magic Arena or like Hearthstone even or whatever, like, they put a lot of effort into the presentation of the game, like, to get people into it. And then here they're just like, I
guess because they're like, it's Pokemon, so you have to enjoy it.
Yeah.
Because it's Pokemon.
Yeah.
You have to.
It's like, no matter what, you're always going to have the cards. Like, if you're playing it online, you kind of want the rest of it to be the thing that like is different. Like, you kind of want that to really sell itself.
If you use a flamethrower, do a little flamethrower thing, or like, if you use Bubble Beam, there's some bubbles that come out or something like that. Like, that stuff. Obviously, it takes more work and it's more money, so maybe that's why they didn't bother. But
it's true.
Yeah, maybe it's something
Pokemon probably aren't struggling for money though.
No, I mean, they're not.
No, they're right.
The Pokemon, I mean, here's the difference though. They're not struggling for money, they just don't want to spend it. Like,
they just want to reap in the benefits. Although it's interesting because we were talking about it, and like, there isn't the option to like pay into this.
No, it's free to play, entirely free to play. Like, you can't even buy currency. So, you know what? Actually, I'll take that over the fancy schmancy like animations and stuff, to be honest. Like, although they are currently, as far as I know, restricting it to just Sword and Shield releases at the moment onwards. So you can't use cards from before the Sword and Shield sets, which me suspects has something to do with them wanting people to buy current sets and then using the codes that are in the sets to unlock booster sets in the digital game. So that's their way of kind of encouraging people to still pay that sweet money.
Yeah, you know, there's still a company, they're still out for your cash. But yeah, it would be a shame if they don't bring the rest of the collection there at some point. Because obviously, you know, the long term, like, Pokemon doesn't rotate like Magic does. So you need kind of the entire card library to make it viable as like a platform for tournaments, because people don't just use
the new stuff.
I think the formats do like restrict certain things, but as far as I know, you can use older cards like fairly freely. So yeah, but you know, like, but it was pretty fun. Like, you make your avatar, you've got like a little animated person and that kind of thing. Like, I think it's just a shame that, because there are stadium cards, like the fact that you play a stadium card and it doesn't transform the board to match that. You know, Pokemon has so many like fun visuals. Like, people love Pokemon Stadium for a reason. And they could have like just made it a little more animated.
I think that it could be a really good option for a versus the world once it's out in its full true form. Like, I feel like, you know, we could play some games with the audience, with the viewers. If you would like viewers, let us know.
Yeah.
So check out on Sunday at 5 p.m. Maybe a cheeky little video about it. So, you know, that. And like,
my god,
if you want to, you know, be informed when these videos come out, maybe you should subscribe and like the video, and also click the bell to get notifications when these videos come out. Carrying on.
And it's worth saying it. So it's in a limited beta at the moment, so there's no fixed release date for it. But if you're in Canada or your internet says you're in Canada, you can go and download it and just try to play.
We don't endorse that. We don't endorse it.
I mean, we have an article on the website that
we
tells
just
you how
suggest
to
it.
access it if you're outside of Canada.
The
so
information is there.
yeah, the information is
telling you to do
available, and what you
it.
do with it is your prerogative. But
Look, I
lay
never
out the
told you to rob that person, okay? I just said you could.
I just pointed out the
I
open
just
possibility,
pointed out
yeah.
they have jewels on their hands. So you could.
They have their wallet
Yeah.
hanging out their back pocket, just right there.
Yeah.
That's it.
Maddie Wrongleg says, Pokemon don't rotate. Have you seen Hitmontop? Yes, I have.
Yeah, true.
That's the one that's the
It's
name.
Sphinx, yeah.
Like Chun-Li.
But yeah, the Pokemon card game is, again, it is that game, and that game is very much Pokemon. You know, you can have up to 6 Pokemon, including your active Pokemon. They do attacks, you put energy cards on them, and then they do the thing. They evolve. Sometimes they evolve into big ones.
Big
because
ones.
Sword and Shield brought
Bees.
across the Gigantamax Pokemon, which are called VMAX.
VMAX.
Wow.
In the card game. So you can get
Yeah.
big Pikachu. If you
Like
want
this
massive
one,
Pikachu,
Look,
if you want big Pikachu, it's there. There's
Oh,
big Pikachu.
Big
Yes.
Pikachu.
Yeah.
I love him.
He's
Oh my
got
God, my best friend.
He's got some grapes. They're not grapes.
Delicious
So his
grapes.
grapes that make him big and strong.
Yeah, he's a big boy.
Liv, have you been playing anything else?
No, I'm complete.
Perfect.
Pikachu.
Mian, let's jump over to you.
Hello, yes.
What have you been playing?
I've not been on the podcast for ages.
The podcast hasn't been. Bear in mind, the last couple of weeks we
Yeah.
haven't had a podcast either. So
Yeah, I mean, we
Yeah.
haven't had a podcast, and I've not been on it either. So you might as well not have a podcast.
No, exactly.
Wow.
That's why there's all 4 of us here now, just so we can witness.
Yeah, that's
and
why
win.
it
why the
didn't
internet
happen
went
last
bad
week.
last week is you're just cutting the wires outside the office with a big pair of.
Yeah,
Ew.
yeah. I pulled myself out of my sick bed and went to cut the wires
In a
outside
hazmat
the
suit.
office. Yeah, in a hazmat suit. I've been playing quite a lot, but I won't do all of it because we'll be here even longer. But okay, so recently I've been playing Citadels. We played that together. That was fun.
Yeah, we did. Yeah.
Yes, that was fun.
That was a good game. It was quite an old copy though, a bit manky.
What are the Brunos, right? Bruno Fayduti.
Falduti.
Yeah.
Yeah, I like Citadels. It's good. I might get myself a copy eventually, but it's quite mean. But I kind of like the randomized characters, sort of randomized, but actually drafting. It's good. I've also played Eldritch Horror. No, Elder Sign.
You assume that it must have been Eldritch Horror because it's Eldritch Horror.
Well, yeah, because that's the one I would play.
Eldritch Horror more memorable than Elder Sign.
Yeah. I played Elder Sign a couple of weeks ago. My friends had a copy, and I was like, "Oh, I've not played Elder Sign in years. Let's give that a go." And yeah, it's a game. It just feels like it shouldn't. You don't think of it as I don't think of it as an Arkham Horror game now, basically, because it's just it's nothing like the other games in terms of what it makes you feel. Like Arkham Horror Files games are genuinely really good, and they're so good at theme and making you care about what you're doing and the greater picture of it all. Whereas Elder Sign is you roll these dice. Did you pass the thing? No. Yes. Does it really matter all that much? Yeah, it's it's over 10 years old now, so and it's showing its age, and it seems to be one of those ones that Fantasy Flight have kind of just let it die softly. They don't really care about it anymore, but which Matt was saying, Mansions of Madness seems to be going
Yeah, well, they
down
said there
that
won't
road.
be any more expansions for Mansions.
Yeah.
Expansions for Mansions. Which is gutting because Sarah and I used to pick up the expansion every year because it would come out around Christmas. We'd spend the Christmas holidays playing the new Mansions of Madness expansion.
Yeah.
But I think the last one was in 2019, maybe even. So
They've been doing that a lot because
couple of
Eldritch
years.
Horror, the most recent Eldritch Horror expansion was also 2018, 19, something like that. So it feels like I think it was a part of Fantasy Flight's general sort of approach to releasing expansions for board games, which they don't seem to do anymore. They seem to just be doing expansions for their living card games, presumably because it makes them more money. I'm not 100% sure. But yeah, I mean, they've recently revised Arkham Horror the card game. They did a revised core set. They've been releasing the old cycles as expansions. But I don't know whether that's because it's a living card game or whether it's because an Arkham Horror thing. I'm starting to believe it's probably the former rather than the latter, unfortunately. But that's a shame because there are some really, really good games in that franchise. Elder Sign is not one of them, in my opinion. I also played Jaws, the board game.
Ooh.
I enjoyed that when we did it for Shark Week. Yeah.
Yeah, which we've played on the YouTube channel before. Although I believe you folks might have gotten a few things wrong.
Probably.
I remember someone saying, "Oh, I think we got some things wrong and therefore didn't play properly."
Yes,
but,
I think we were following Loli's lead. That sounds like I'm throwing Loli's in the bus. No, but it's just the truth. I just never
That's
played it.
fine.
But yeah, no, definitely we could. I mean, I think we should replay it with that.
It's good. Yeah, it's good. We played it in a board game cafe, and you know what? It was easier than I expected to pick up. Despite there being quite a few not complicated but not straightforward gameplay mechanics there, where depending on whether you're playing as the shark or as the I don't know what you call them, heroes, human depends on your perspective, really. I suppose on who's right here, but yeah, I was sort of teaching the game and also on the side of the humans, and then we had 2 players playing the shark. When you're only supposed to have 1, but it's fine. Yeah. And it was actually really good. The humans, you control 3 different characters, and they each have different actions that they can perform, but they're all designed to, you're supposed to synchronize with each other. So, and you can choose which character goes first. So you can be like, I think this character should go first, so then they can do this thing, and lead into the next character's turn and set things up.
That's
and
cool.
It takes place over 2 acts. The first act is the humans trying to get the shark with these barrels to try and hit the shark with these barrels, but the shark is hidden under the water, so you don't know where it is. So the humans are kind of working together to figure out where the shark is, and the shark is trying to stay hidden and eat the various unfortunate swimmers out in the sea. And in the
amount they eat, or the amount that doesn't affect the second act. Is that
yeah? So basically, the first act ends whenever either group manages to achieve their objective. So in our case, the shark managed to eat all the people that it needed to eat, which was 9 to win.
Wow.
Win the first act. Yeah,
not a good day at the beach.
It wasn't great. No,
That's a high body count.
We started off really strong because we managed to actually hit the shark very early on with a barrel, and they learned from that. And then they had these abilities, and one of them is just eat a load of people at once. And unfortunately, they managed to do that and just get their 9 people. Just eat. Yeah, it was a buffet. And then in Act 2, because the shark had managed to eat 9 people, they had got access to all these ability cards, whereas we had the smallest amount of crew cards. And it made our lives a lot more difficult. And so the second act takes place on the boat, like in the film when they're fighting the shark on the boat, and the humans are trying to figure out where the shark's going to pop up and attack that square, and they've got 3 different options that they can pick from, and the shark has to secretly choose one of those options and attack the boat or attack the people. And it ended up with our boat being almost entirely destroyed.
Oh, no.
And then we having a one last stand to kill the shark. And I was like, if we don't manage to kill you in this turn, you win. And unfortunately, I will say, Act 2, even though the shark had a lot of advantages with the ability cards, it still felt relatively balanced. The thing that was screwing us over was like poor dice rolls, which is nothing you can really do about. We were just rolling really badly, like just really unlucky, and the shark was rolling really well. So it was good. Like it was enjoyable. I would play that again. And you can play either act on its own if you want. You don't have to play both. But
yeah, I wonder if because you haven't played Camp Grizzly, have you?
Nope.
No, I feel like you would probably enjoy that because it has the kind of same mechanic of like, well, not entirely the same. Like, you know, a separate player doesn't control the villain, but it's like there's a villain chasing after you, and you have to like, you know, get the things you need in order to escape. And then there's kind of like there's a finale. It's not like an act 2, but there's a finale, and like that could be kind of fun.
Yeah,
cool.
I've read about it, and it seems pretty cool.
Yeah.
Isn't there another one that's similar coming out
Dead by Daylight.
last Friday?
Dead by Daylight also works like that.
Not the Dead by Daylight board
It does
game.
work like that though.
Yeah, I was gonna say
it works
similar,
in a
though.
similar way.
I'm aware it works like that. That's just not what I was thinking of.
All right.
No, it is
Yeah.
Dead by Daylight. I mean, like both are accurate.
Sorry, you can look into my mind. You're trying
I
to like
was-
gaslight
Ian,
me.
I could never look into your mind.
No, it's a
Last
fetid
Friday.
place.
Mhm.
Last Friday, I believe it's called.
Mhm.
It sounds relatively similar to
Hmm.
that.
Is a copy of that in the office. I managed to grab it, Essence, so we should take a look at that.
Which is not to be confused with another series, which is like a solo series where you play as like someone trying to fight against the enemy. I can't remember what it's called. Final Girl?
Yeah, I was about to say we need to play that as well. Look, this is all going to happen in Spooky Week, which me and Maddie are planning.
Yes.
Spooky Week.
Spooky Week.
We're in March.
I know. We're planning it in depth.
Well,
Because
it's a
any
big
you
week,
decide
there's a
make
lot to
it,
plan.
Yeah.
My goodness.
Look forward to our 6-month-long spooky week.
Oh my god, I love
It could
that.
be a month long.
Yeah,
It might be
absolutely.
all of October. Who knows?
All I'm saying is Dicebreaker out. There are like a bunch of spooky themed, you know, escape rooms.
Oh no,
It's
I'm
a
gonna
lot.
be
My
too
worst
scared.
nightmare.
Yeah.
I can't wait. I'm gonna
I'm
hate
just
it.
gonna be hiding in the corner all the time.
Same.
Be like, me and what have you found? I'll be like,
Oh, I found scares.
the only other thing I've been playing, which is common, is Root. We played some
A
games
classic.
when I
So
was
good.
sick last week online, just like blowing into tissues just continuously, like
You made those
I
little
went.
noises like the lions do when they're like. You
Oh,
should do that every time you
no.
blow into a tissue.
Yeah, I was about to say, like, were you playing the Resistance? Because it's literally just and you're just
Yeah, I mean, no, I was playing the Vagabond. The first game I played the Vagabond. So we actually played 2 games, one on the Saturday, one on the Sunday. The one on the Saturday was a complete mess. Not only because I was a mess, but also because we just played a terrible combination of factions that doesn't work. So like the Vagabond, the Eerie, and the Alliance, they do not work together. Like,
do you need 4 players for the Vagabond, or is there only 3?
To be honest, probably yeah. I mean, like, the thing is, without the Marquise the Cat there to sort of
get
butt
you all
heads
in
against
line.
to butt heads against the Eerie just sort of swept just swept things up, because I should have been playing the Vagabond more aggressively, but you just don't tend to do that when you're the Vagabond. It's just not usually what you do. So when I realized that, it was a bit too late. And the Wooden Alliance, the pacing is just too slow. Like they take time to build up, and then suddenly they become a massive threat. But like the Eerie just swept. It was the shortest and worst game of Root I've ever played. It just felt like it was terrible. It was under an hour, and that is really short for a Root game. But
for a Root rematch, to be honest.
We should play some Root.
Yeah.
I'd love to.
The second one we played on the Sunday, I was feeling a bit better. So, and I played the Alliance, and we had 4 people. So someone else played the Lizards, and another person played the Eerie, and another person played the Cats. And that matchup is really, really interesting, where everyone is butting heads basically, and there's just so much going on the board. And it ended up with the lizards unfortunately being crushed quite early because they were being such a nuisance. But that's kind of what the lizards do. Those gardens, man, they're just the worst.
Yeah,
like
they're good.
they just mess up the board control. So that just ends up with the lizards being taken out because people are sick of it. And they ended up with myself as the alliance, the Eerie and the cats basically being in a standoff towards the end where like we were turns away from winning. And the cats use a dominance card, which meant that at one point we were all working together to stop the cats from winning. And the cats did eventually end up winning, and that's because I made a grave error of... What do you mean, whoa?
I like playing the cats. Good for the cats.
Very good.
I made a fundamental mistake as the alliance by having too many troops to deal with the cat's dominance thing, and then not having anything left to train, which meant that I didn't have any. I had no actions to use on the evening turn, which meant that all those troops at that point were basically useless because I couldn't use them to do any of the actions that get you points. So there you go. That was my root game. There you go. That's my thing. Matt Jarvis.
All right. Yeah, I've been playing a few things. So I obviously played Pokemon with Liv. I played some King Domino with Liv and Maddie. I have not been playing Yu-Gi-Oh, but I started reading Yu-Gi-Oh, and wow, original Yu-Gi-Oh really messed up. It's just like a Yugi, the
manga, right?
The main character, of Yu-Gi-Oh, just dispensing karmic justice on other students.
Oh my god!
Playing games. There's at one point Yugi and his alter ego. There's a whole thing going on. They play ice hockey with an explosive embedded in a block of ice, and then
You can't do that.
because there's like a bully kid, and the bully kid explodes, and then that's it.
Oh my god!
It's really dark,
That's not
and
allowed.
you can see why the
Sounds
TV
like the bully
series
deserved it.
just
Okay.
skipped straight to let's play this card game.
Yeah, the Yu-Gi-Oh, the anime is just like you got Joey Wheeler there, just being like,
Yeah.
Yugi's Joey Wheeler, and then you've got Yugi just being a little cute boy, and then he turns into like a man, Egyptian man, sort of, and then but he's got weird hair, and then there's a Pegasus.
Yeah,
And
that's about
the
it.
anime.
Yeah. And then they play cards, and there's a lot of cards.
Wow.
So yeah, there you go.
Yeah, and then you
Yu-Gi-Oh.
send people to the Shadow Realm.
Yeah. More importantly, I played Leviathan Wilds, which I was going to chat about last week, which I actually played a couple of weeks ago now, but I couldn't talk about it at the time. But it is the new game from the new studio formed by people that previously worked on Pandemic. So they are veterans of Z-Man Games, also Fantasy Flight Games. So I think there's some people that worked on things like Star Wars Imperial Assault, worked on some of the Descent games. I think even worked on some of the Living Card games as well, like Arkham Horror. But the new studio is Moon Crab Games.
Moon Crab.
Amazing.
And their first game is Leviathan Wilds, which I was lucky enough to get a run through from the lead designer.
The way you say Leviathan Wild is like you're like it sounds like you're bigging up. Who are you getting paid by?
I mean,
Leviathan
no
Wilds.
one.
Let man be excited.
Leviathan Wilds is really cool. So it is kind of, it's best described, I guess, as like Shadow of the Colossus if it was a board game, except it's also a bit like Zelda Breath of the Wild, but only the climbing bits of Zelda Breath of the Wild, but as a board game. And those two were the kind of most direct inspirations and influences on the game, according to its team. So it is a game about climbing big creatures, Leviathans. The one that I got a run for of, it was just a big turtle called the Sage. And the creatures are in a book. So it's like the book is the board, kind of like Mice and Mystics. Not Mice and Mystics, Stuffed Fables. Did Mice and Mystics do a book board? I can't remember.
Stuffed Fables is, yeah.
Yeah, Stuffed Fables definitely did. Anyway, so each creature is like the spread of this book. And over the top of the creature is a grid. And the grid represents you climbing up the creature. So most of the spaces are just kind of spaces that you can move into. And then there are some spaces that will cause you to lose health points. or cause you to lose grip. And grip is your deck of cards. So each character has a unique deck of cards, and you draw 3 at the end of each turn. And if your deck runs out, you then fall. You start falling. So there's this really interesting simulation of gravity where you fall like down the board, which basically just means you move towards the feet of the Leviathan. But excuse me. As you're falling, you can then play cards from your hand, and each card can either be used for a set number of action points each turn, which lets you do pretty basic movements. So you can move 1 square at a time, or you can spend multiple points to jump extra squares, but it means you can then jump over dangers and things like that. But each character then has on their cards like a unique set of moves. So for instance, the character I played had like an L-shaped move, like a knight in chess. And there was another one where you could move even further than a jump, but you were kind of limited in the direction in which you could jump.
Okay.
So you can play those as you're falling. And the way you stop falling is you get to a rest space, which lets you refresh your deck. And you can visit rest spaces and spend some points to just do that manually, which is the better way of doing it, because you don't just want to exhaust yourself, start falling, and then be like, I suppose I should really grab onto something here. But it made for a really fun, I guess, rhythm of the game, where I really started to get into the motion of like, okay, if I spend these points, use this card, I can get to here. And then at points, it's like, well, I can, without spending any points, I can choose to just let go and drop. Okay. And that will help me out because I can then save my points and grab something on the way past. So it becomes this really dynamic kind of climbing game. And you're aiming to get to crystals, these binding crystals, which have sent the Leviathans into like a rage. And you get to them and you spend points to knock them down. They're represented by dice. So they can be different values between 1 and 6. So like if it's got a value of 6, you need to spend 6 points to get it down to 0. Just a 1 is 1 and so on. And the aim of the game is to just bring all those all down to 0. So it's fairly straightforward. And the general turn structure feels like Pandemic. You can kind of tell that the team worked on Pandemic games in the past because it's got a kind of similar breakdown of at the start of a turn, the Leviathan gets an action, which can be like attacking you directly. So sometimes it's like you will lose this amount of grip. Sometimes it will put a template on the square that you're currently on. So then you'll need to move out of it, otherwise you'll get hit. But that doesn't activate till the end of the turn. So you always have the ability to see what's coming, like position yourself in a better way, and then it happens. And sometimes you just have to eat the damage, and that becomes its own thing of like, well, you know, I could actually just eat this like 2 HP because it's better for me to get over here.
Question: could we modify this to make the giant creature into a giant wife or not?
Yes. So funnily enough, I asked them about so the final game. So some of these details aren't final because they're still working on it. It will come to Kickstarter over the summer, I think. But the game will have a campaign mode, and there are 20, I think maybe just over 20 different creatures. And their hope, which isn't final, is that you'll be able to basically go into a region and there'll be a set number of monsters to that region. And once you have like cured them, they will then lend you their power or like lend you some support. And you will get kind of like permanent, like one-off shared abilities between the team that way.
Cool.
So there's a benefit of like going to a certain region, getting like the support of one, and then going on to a different region and using it elsewhere. But I said to them, I was like, this system would easily apply to the creatures from Shadow of the Colossus or something from Breath of the Wild.
Whoa!
And they said that long term, they hope to just release something that lets people make their own grids and kind of come up with custom, because it had that feel of there's a really good system here. I think actually the art and the general atmosphere of the game is really like I really enjoyed it. It moves really quickly. There's not a lot of opportunity for like co-op quarterbacking, like one person taking control, because everyone has a unique deck anyway. So you can't just tell someone to do like a certain thing because they might be holding different cards. So it felt really satisfying. Basically, it's like we played for I think about 45 minutes, something like that. We were playing like a non-final version. It was a digital demo, so you know, take that with a pinch of salt. But it just moved really well, which is kind of the thing you want in a game about climbing. You know.
So here's my modification, right? This is the game we're gonna make, which is called Giant Wife, Please Marry Me. And it's a selection of different giant wives, and you have to like climb them, and then you have to like every time you get to like a crystal bit, you have to like woo them and stuff.
Right.
So you have to say, oh, here's a delicious jam donut
in the rest area.
Yeah. Like, here is a CD copy of Simply Red's greatest hit. Just, like winning them over.
They refuse?
Yeah, you're gonna climb up because they're so high up they can't hear you. So you're gonna get up there to be like, "Hi, can you marry me?"
I'm trying to get them. Yeah, and then when you make it to the top, and then you can be like, "Can you please marry me?"
You need to and then to the top so you can whisper the sweet nothings into their ear.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, so this will be on Kickstarter.
It's absolute knockoff. Will be on Kickstarter.
Yeah, Game Found.
The Leviathan Wilds sounds really fun.
Yeah. I'll work with them. We'll make it an expansion.
Well, they've said that. So they said that the world, because the world comes with its own lore, and like it is a campaign and it has a story, and so they've said that it's something that they may look to explore in the future. Obviously, this is a new studio, new game. They don't know like how it's going to do on Kickstarter yet, but I think like it really won me over during my time of it. I kind of went in thinking, oh, it'll be another one of these, it'll be a move around the grid, do some stuff. But I think in motion, it really, it was satisfying to just move and jump and get very far. When they told me it was a game about climbing, I expected you'd be moving like 1 or 2 spaces a turn and kind of like slowly making your way up this. But actually, it just ended up being this very like fast-moving thing where you can cross that like Leviathan pretty quickly if you play all your cards, but then you just run the risk of burning through your stamina and then falling off. So I think it does climbing in a very like satisfying way, and you can kind of feel the Breath of the Wild influence where if you're about to run out of stamina, you can glide at points. You can glide in like an arc beneath you, so that will also get you to a rest point. It's a really neat game.
A retro futurologist says, "I bring you a copy of Savage Garden's classic debut on CD and a packet of Mingles."
Wow, Mingles I've not thought about in a while.
Oh, I would take it. Oh, the Galaxy, right? Galaxy Mingles, am I right?
Oh, I thought it was just like an old Pringle. No.
Oh, I'm thinking of Munchies. I'm thinking of like the square Munchies.
I thought it was. Okay, I need to look this up. Maybe I'm.
While you're looking that up, we'll move on to news. Which we'll whisper fairly quickly because who would have thunk it? We're overrunning.
The Bendix Mingles. They're the little like mint flavored cubies.
Oh
chocolate cubies. Do you remember these? They were like After Eights evolved.
Something I wanted to mention last week, but didn't get the chance to because the podcast was about 5 minutes long, was the Nebula Awards have announced a bunch of games. They're in the running for the, I think, best writing or like games writing, however they call the category. But what's interesting is they've done games writing awards for a few years now, but this year's awards are dominated by tabletop RPGs. So I just wanted to give a quick shout out to them. So the Nebula Awards are typically like I think fantasy and sci-fi writing, that kind of genre, and typically go to short stories and like more, I guess, traditional writing and narrative, but they also do interactive fiction and so on. And among this year's finalists is Wander Home. So this is for games writing. Nice. Wander Home, which is the game we played on the channel. Coyote and Crow, which we've got a review of on the website. Thirsty Sword Lesbians, Grandma's Hands, and the game I can't find the name. Oh, Wildermyth. Which is a video game.
Yeah, that's really fun.
I'm sorry.
You two have absolutely lost it.
But Liv said something in the Slack and me laugh.
Anyway,
Those are all great nominations. That's so cool to see.
No. Katie Grow and Wonder Home Percy Sword Lesbians. I'm all for it. Excellent choices.
So sincerely received. So there have been a couple of tabletop RPG things in the past, but I don't think they've been full-on RPGs in this same way. So there was the Fate Accessibility Toolkit a couple of years ago, which obviously was like a set of tools for RPGs more so. And Sense and Seismosis, I don't know how to pronounce that word, was in 2020's finalists, which I think was more of like an interactive fiction game than like a tabletop RPG proper. So this year is just absolutely full of tabletop RPGs, which is great to see. Like there aren't, outside of a few hobby awards like the Origins Awards and so on, and the Ennies, of course. There aren't loads of like high profile award shows that look at tabletop RPGs. So it's really cool to just see 4 tabletop RPGs all land in the same category. So I'm just scanning through Chase's story here to see when these will be announced. I can't see if they have said when they'll be announced.
It's cool,
May 21st, sorry.
It's cool because it's like, hopefully that just means the people that like probably don't know where to look like might finally see this kind of stuff, because it's like, I always try and be like trying to tell my friends about tabletop RPGs and like they just don't know that they're around, and I'm like, there are so many amazing games that people could be playing. It's just exciting to think like hopefully this will like get in front of even more people and they'll find something.
Yeah, and like the Ennies award a lot of good games. Like we saw Heart last year, I think won a lot of them, and Morkborg was in there. But also you see kind of the old familiars, like D&D pops up a lot, like Pathfinder pops up a lot. And not that they are not deserving of awards, like supplements and source books for those games, but it's nice to see games here that are from first-time designers or more indie creators really get a spotlight. Like I hadn't heard of Grandma's Hands, but it sounds fantastic. It's like a superhero like RPG set during like the golden age of superheroes, which is is really cool. So I'm gonna go and check that out.
Yeah, likewise. I hadn't heard until I saw that, and I was like, okay, got to play this. So it's really cool.
I mean, it's still a sin that we haven't played Thirsty Sword Lesbian.
Yeah, we were supposed to at one point, and that fell through. But
this year it's happening.
Got to be done.
Yeah, I think it's powered by the Apocalypse, right? I think so.
Turn of Giant Wife. It's gonna happen. Can three Thirsty Sword Lesbians win over this giant wife? That's my doubt.
Quickly, while we're moving through news, another one I meant to pull from last week: Rear Window of all the movies is getting a board game, the Alfred Hitchcock film, and I pull this because it's from Prospero Hall, which we've spoken about multiple times in this podcast already, because they also made Jaws the board game. And they have made the Jurassic World Legacy game, and Villainous, and all sorts of. They're kind of like the big name for turning movies into board games at the moment. And they generally do a really good job. Like I don't think that they've had a real dud that I can think of. They're part of Funko Games now, so they are tied to the Funkoverse side of things. But outside of that, like their games feel like proper full-on adaptations and well thought out and unique in a way that like a lot of movie board games don't. And Rear Window sounds cool. It's like a mix of Mysterium and like, well, it's mainly Mysterium. So like one person plays Alfred Hitchcock, which in itself is kind of plays the director, but it has a silhouette of Alfred Hitchcock.
No one wants to be Alfred Hitchcock.
Famously was a bit of a dick.
But did
direct some good films at least.
Oh yeah.
And then other people get to be like Jimmy Stewart and Grace Kelly and their characters. They get to be the characters that they played in the film rather than the actors. And then, the game is about, so the director is trying to lead the rest of the group to a murder mystery that may or may not have happened. Like there doesn't always have to have been a murder that's taken place. And then the rest of the players are basically looking through people's windows, because Rear Window is about that. It's like about being a voyeur and a bit of a creep.
Bit of a creepo, yeah.
But
actually, Matt, it's about the growth of modern architecture and change of American society.
well, whether the board game will reflect that, we don't know yet.
The American dream. It's always the American dream, right? Yeah.
It's got to be.
But you're basically trying to work out, hey, like, who is this person that I can see through this window? Are they like an artist? Do they have a relationship with someone else in like another window? Are they about to murder them, or have they just murdered them? It sounds pretty cool. You know, I don't think any of us saw a Rear Window board game coming, because it's not necessarily something that's like a hot franchise now.
No.
But
No one was asking for this, but
yeah, it's like you can understand the Goonies, you can kind of understand, you know, Jurassic World and like Star Wars and all of that. But for someone to be like, Rear Window, there's a game that, there's a movie that needs a game.
That's what the people want.
I would have picked Vertigo personally, but you know, each their own, I guess.
Well, even Psycho, right? Like Psycho feels like the Alfred Hitchcock film.
That's
like
I
most well known.
that'd be the one.
Like there would be some problematic elements that they would have to scoot around.
This is true, yeah.
I mean, there's some problematic things in Rear Window as well that they've obviously probably avoided. So, considering that Jimmy Stewart sat there with his little binoculars, being like, oh.
Well, it'll be out this summer, so we'll hopefully get to play it around then and see if it's any good. But it sounds pretty promising, to be honest. Like, it sounds interesting.
It's basically the kind of genre that is like the, you know, woman across the street from the woman in the window, like that kind of.
It's a little bit. It's a thriller, but like the guy has broken his leg and therefore he can't. He's
I remember this film. Yeah.
And so he can he spends his time looking in through people's windows. And one of them happens to have a blonde woman in it. Oh my god, it's a Hitchcock film. There's a blonde, attractive woman. That was his.
The final bit of news I pulled is from today. Oh my
god, hot scoops!
Which is, well, it's not our scoop, it's Collider's scoop, the movie website, because they spoke to Chris Pine of Star Trek and Wonder Woman fame, and also of about to be in Dungeons and Dragons the movie fame. And he has offered some, I guess, the first real clue of what that movie could be when it comes out next year. So it's out on March the 3rd, 2023. So it's just under a year away. But we kind of know who's in that film. It's Chris Pine. There's Hugh Grant's in there.
Hugh Grant's playing the bad guy.
Hugh Grant's playing the bad guy.
As he should.
Yes,
we've all seen Paddington.
Yeah, we've all seen Paddington too. Okay.
His crowning role.
I mean,
so they've got a heck of a cast.
We put together like no, we did the D&D musical, didn't we, Ian, with Wheels, and we put together different acts together. And I think that ours was the best version.
I mean, our casting was amazing, but really you know, that you can't expect
as
everyone.
Idris Elba was in there. It was a good time.
Idris Elba was in there. Willem Dafoe.
I'm gonna need like a full detailed breakdown of this at some
You
point.
can watch. I can't remember all of it.
God knows what the episode number it was, but it was on the podcast.
Yeah, we know that Danny DeVito was definitely in it because he's in everything that we want to do.
As he should be.
Well, there's no Danny DeVito in this film, but there is, like I say, there's a bunch of famous people. It's a pretty strong cast, and we didn't really know anything. We still don't really know anything about what it's going to be, or like which bits of lore it might adapt, or whether, for instance, it's going to be like the Mazes and Monsters film with Tom Hanks from way back when, where people kind of get sucked into D&D or a D&D like game. Or whether it's just going to take place in the D&D like Forgotten Realms or like other parts of the lore. But Chris Pine has given an idea of what the tone may be like. So in this, like I say, in this quote from Collider, who spoke to him, he says, "It's like Game of Thrones mixed with a little Princess Bride with just a smidge of Holy Grail, like the Monty Python film. It's somewhere in that ballpark. It's a lot of fun. It's got a lot of thrills. It's poppy. It's 80s heartfelt. There's a bit of Goonies in there."
Oh no!
So he compares it to Game of Thrones, Princess Bride, Monty Python's Holy Grail, and Goonies.
Those are all
in
so
the space
different.
of about 2 sentences.
They're all very different things.
Yeah.
I don't want Chris Pine to mess up D&D, please.
No, the thing is,
like
right? I will say,
opposites.
I'm gonna come in for defense for Chris Pine. He is one of the few Chris's in the Hollywood world who isn't a bit of a, you know, I'm not going to say what I was going to say, but
I mean,
not great. Like,
Hitchcock a dick.
I mean, Matt called. Matt said dickhead. I didn't. He seems like one of the better ones. but it's a very confusing description.
Yeah,
Maybe
it feels
they were
a
like,
checklist of
don't give too much away, and he was like, I'm really just going to confuse them.
Yeah.
I'm just going to
Yeah,
throw a load of
really,
stuff out there.
yeah,
and just really
mess them
confuse
up.
them.
Yeah.
it does also feel like one of those things where we are in the age where everything now is like a throwback.
Yeah.
It's like this is what Stranger Things did, right? It's like Stranger Things is like the Goonies. It is
It
Stand
has
By Me.
D&D
It
in
is
it, like,
yeah,
as
it is a
well.
bit D&D. It's a little bit like Close Encounters or ET.
But
Like
there-
it's just
I
an
will
amalgamation
say,
of stuff.
the main thing that's confusing me is the Game of Thrones thing. Like that, is he just saying that because it's fantasy?
I
That's why-
suspect there
Yeah.
might be a bit of that, and probably just like if you think of what fantasy is for, like,
Yeah.
and
Now-
I'm gonna make like generalizations here, but for like big Hollywood stars who, you know, outside of the few that actually do play D&D, like fantasy worlds are kind of one and the same, right? It's like Lord of the Rings and D&D are basically interchangeable.
Yeah.
And so I
I
think
would have
that's
preferred
probably
if he
what they're
said
getting
Lord of
at
the
here.
Rings.
It's like it's
Game
That
of
would
fantasy,
have
but it has
made more
characters.
sense.
Like when he says Game of Thrones, I will say,
going to be a bunch of nude scenes or like.
yeah, I mean, I will
Oh,
say,
no.
like the brand of Game of Thrones is not good at the moment. Like it is a
No.
it's a soiled nappy. It did not end. People do not have a lot of people. Everyone I've spoken to about Game of Thrones at any point in the
It's like
last
impressive how
3
forgotten it
years.
is now.
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
either don't care about it or are still angry about how it
Yeah.
ended.
Yeah, but it still has cultural cachet, right? It's like George R.R. Martin is still notable. Like people are still like, oh my
He
god, it's
doesn't
George
care
R.R. Martin writing like
anymore.
50 words that they can base Elden Ring on.
Look, George R. R. Martin is sipping to like he's sipping margaritas on a yacht.
Yeah.
He does not care.
Yeah.
Like
So, but yeah,
Mhm.
that's the kind of that's what Chris Pine has said about this.
I have no idea what
Okay.
this thing is.
No, I don't think anyone does. We had a hell of a fun time making it, which take that as you will. That
Yeah.
can mean it will be. He said, I think it's going to be really good. I mean, who fucking knows? But we got a really great shot. I'm quoting Chris Pine. I think we got a good shot. And John, which are the directors who did Game Night, are killer guys. They know comedy and they know heart. And we had a great cast and we had a good time making it. And that's all you could ask for.
Okay.
Someone
right.
thinks
Well,
Thomas
that's
says, "Is it good?" I don't know. I
Yeah.
think so.
We had fun
so,
making the
yeah.
thing. Is
we
like
had fun.
sometimes
I mean,
some of the
you know what? I'm glad he had fun. I don't want him to
Yeah.
have a bad time making it.
Yeah.
I don't know.
But at the same time, some of the worst films are like people are like, yeah, you know, it's Adam Sandler like having a Hawaii holiday
exactly.
to make
I
Grown
I
Ups 2,
mean,
or
that's
it's Michael
Adam
Caine.
Sandler having a Hawaii holiday. That's not everyone having fun. That's Adam Sandler enjoying his holiday. Like a lot of some of the worst films have genuinely come. A lot of some of the best films have come out of terrible production, but a lot of some of the worst ones have come out of terrible production because that's what that kind of production makes. Like everyone, like the production behind the Mario Brothers movie, like that is just an excellent example of like everyone is angry, everyone is like bashing heads, people are getting hurt, like most of the cast is drunk, like
Yeah, like suffering is definitely not conducive to good art by default. But yeah, it is hard to read this as like him just going like, yeah, we had a really good time. I don't know what people will think of it, but we had a good time.
Told me nothing, you know.
The other thing that really confuses me is like, and I was talking to someone very interesting the other day about this. Like Dungeons and Dragons isn't. It was you, yeah. Dungeons and Dragons isn't like a super niche thing anymore. Like
No, not at all. I mean,
you've
Critical
got-
Role is the highest earning thing on Twitch. And it
Yeah,
has its own
you've
movie.
got-
Especially like,
like-
in like America and places where it's like just a lot more popular.
You've got, I mean, that's probably why they're making this film, but you've got like some pretty big celebrities like who have said, yeah, I played it, and they haven't just played it for like charity games. They play it because they genuinely like it. Why are they, if this is the case, I don't know if the cast play it, but like it seems to me like they haven't actually hired people who like play D&D, and I kind of feel like
Diesel and Stephen Colbert.
Yeah, Joe Manganiello isn't in it.
They should have hired or at least said to the cast, hey, can you please just like play a couple of, how much effort is it to play a couple of games of D&D to actually understand what this is about? Or like even the directors or the producers or something.
That is true, but I think also, and this happens with video game films, right? It's like someone who's like, "Oh, I love the video," and they try and reproduce it exactly as it was as a video game.
No, we're not asking them to do that. Just to actually understand, like,
Yeah,
what is it like to play D&D? Like,
but
what,
that
what
might, yeah,
It
it
depends
might
what, like,
have
the
a bearing
film's
on the
like.
film, right?
Yeah, it's like, how close is the film going to be? Is it just going to be like, generic fantasy setting
yeah,
in Forgotten
that's what
Realms,
I'm.
or like,
That's
is
what
it
I'm
D&D?
worried it's going to
Like,
be. Like, I'm not. I don't think they're going to adapt like actual lore, and I'm genuinely fine with that because
There's a
D&D, from my perspective, has never been the best thing about D&D. Has never been like the characters or the lore, and I don't think it's been for most people unless you're like playing Baldur's Gate or whatever. But like, to me, it's more about like understanding why D&D is fun and why people like it, and I feel like you only really get that if you actually like play it, rather than me like, because then you're just going to create, you just base it on what you think D&D is, which is here is a dragon and some elves and a dwarf or something, and it's like
very hard for people to understand what a tabletop role-playing game is like if they've never played one. Like, we're
never
trying to
played
explain it to
one,
people. It's like, it is not like a video game. It's not like a board game. Like, you have to play it.
Well, I'm hopeful that, because the writer-directors, so John Francis Daly and Jonathan Goldstein, they did Game Night, which is good. They didn't write Game Night, but they did direct it, and that was surprisingly good. And that is about board game nights. And is way better than it had any right to be as a pitch on paper. So I'm hoping that they at least are like, they get it, right? It's like they kind of understand it.
I just hope it's not just people play D&D, live in their mum's basement, and then it's like a corny. I mean, you can't get better than the original, so I don't know why they're.
So why try?
Why try and do better than like Jeremy Irons just absolutely eating the scenery and cackling it up, and a guy with blue lips who has blue lips for no reason. They never explain that at all, like why he has blue lips. He just does.
Just how the vibe goes.
It just has blue lips.
I'm hoping that at least it doesn't turn out to be like I really like Moon, I really like Source Code, but Duncan Jones's World of Warcraft movie is really bad. But it's bad because it's so bland.
Yeah,
and that's what I'm hoping with the D&D movie. It's like, just don't let it be boring.
Yeah, just don't let it be boring. I'd rather it be a hot mess.
Yeah.
Yes.
Like, really go for
that.
it.
Make it mean.
Make it the next Cat. Like it the next,
I'd rather that, right? Like, people will remember that.
Yeah, I would rather
that. Become its own cult success. And in some ways, that would be true to the game in a lot of ways, where it went from this kind of niche, like fairly cult following, to being like this enormous thing. Like, there's room for that to be like this very out there idea, and I hope they just go for it and not make it just another fantasy film.
Even make it genuinely like good, like the recent Jumanji remake. I think that those
they're fun.
They're great. Like,
they're really good.
I think if they need to take any inspiration, look at those films, because those films are like really great, and they're not super serious. They're actually really stupid. Danny DeVito's in the second one.
Is he?
He is.
Danny DeVito playing the Rot, or not playing the Rot, but Danny DeVito swapping bodies as with various people.
No, Aquafina has to pretend to be Danny DeVito. That's amazing.
Oh, have we lost Mian?
Oh, have we lost Mian?
There we are.
Oh,
no! Aquafina. Oh, no Aquafina. None Aquafina.
It's fine.
Yeah.
All right.
Oh.
Jumanji's good.
Jumanji is good. All right.
That's where we should end.
Sorry, Mian. We'll follow up on your thoughts on Jumanji.
Yeah, I'll send an essay.
Back on that. Okay, you're right. We heard, at least caught that. Let's move on to some questions, because we've got quite a few of them, and we'll try and squeeze in as many as we can in the next, let's say, few minutes. If you've got some questions for the Dicebreaker podcast, you can reach us at podcast@dicebreaker.com. There you go. She's back now. Or you can tweet us at Join Dicebreaker, or just find us at youtube.com/Dicebreaker, the channel you're already watching, or dicebreaker.com. Let's dive in with... okay, let's go for it. Maddie,
first one, come on.
Would you like to read this one from Aaron Winmay?
Where am I looking?
Are you in the pod doc?
Hot dog.
Yes. Oh, sorry. It's at the bottom.
Yeah.
Yes, yeah.
Oh, never mind me.
They're
Let
very
me
deep.
scroll
That's
down.
it.
Ooh, okay. If you could commit one crime and get away with it, what would you do?
Stealing a ton of money. What is this for you? Is this for Maddie? Oh,
I think this is for everyone.
okay.
That's like for everybody.
Yeah.
Like we could all be on like in a joint crime.
Lovely.
Ocean's 11, Ocean's 8.
Oh yes.
Yeah, I feel like pulling off a heist would be fun, right? Like that just seems
Yeah.
really fun. Like it's like a real life escape room. Like I'm
Yeah.
down for that. And if you steal from people who are not nice,
Yeah.
you know,
Mhm.
the
Yeah.
rich,
A lot
they
of the
can't-
rich
Yeah.
people
Yeah.
in this world, basically.
Yeah.
Oh, right, Elon Musk. We're getting him.
Or Jeff Bezos, like
Jeff Bezos,
Yeah.
both of them at the
Jeff
same
Bezos.
time.
Mhm.
steal their money,
Well,
redistribute the
they're away
wealth.
on the moon or whatever. We'll steal them.
Yeah, well,
Yeah.
they're like sat on the moon doing their rich people thing, eating
Mm.
caviar. or
Not
something.
so big on the moon now, are we?
Yeah. Oh, look,
Yes.
the poorest people on the moon now. Aren't they? Because we took all your
Good luck
money and
getting back.
redistributed it.
Good luck.
Idiot.
Get back.
But like,
Taking
isn't
your money.
all of their money just like in various companies? Like,
Yeah.
how would you actually get their
Suck
money?
it out of the companies.
I mean,
Suck it
yeah,
up.
With a
arguably not a
Vancouver.
crime because it's not like they pay
Yeah.
tax. So really, it's
Mm,
just
mm.
We're just
taking the money
collecting
that
tax.
they really
We're
should
just
be
collecting the
contributing
tax,
towards
yeah.
society.
Collectors.
So.
That's our
If
heist
anything,
name.
we're not committing crimes. If
Yeah, so
anything,
the crime I would commit
Yeah.
is taking up a
Not-
career as a tax collector.
Yeah.
We're just
Well-
like the repo
Wow.
men from The Sims when you don't pay your bills. Like, it's just
But
amazing
we'll
stuff.
do it like stylishly. So
Mm.
we'll plan the whole thing. We'll buy loads of really nice clothes.
Mhm.
I just want to do Ocean's 8.
Yeah.
Mm.
Yeah, we
Yeah.
do that.
Yeah, we'll get
and-
Sandra Bullock involved. Is that?
Yeah.
No, that's a later one maybe, but
No, she's
Oh.
in Ocean's 8.
is
She's
she in Ocean's 8? Okay, great.
And
Yeah, we'll
Rihanna's
get
in
Sandy
it.
involved. Yeah,
And Helena Bonham Carter's in it.
great. Yeah, the whole gang.
Kate
Yeah.
Blanchett's in
They're
it.
all
Oh,
there.
to be
get all
honest,
of
that is
them.
a dream. Like that's the dream, right? It's like just
It's a
hanging out with Kate
dream.
Blanchett,
You're
like Helena
surrounded
Bonham
by,
Carter, and
Like these awesome people, and we
Yeah.
look
Anne Hathaway, is she in it?
amazing.
Anne Hathaway, maybe?
I think she is in
if
it.
she's not, we'll get her on board.
Yeah, she's
like,
in
yeah.
it now.
Yeah.
Yeah. Then we'll get them involved, and we'll look incredible, and we'll do a heist. There you go.
Cool.
Right, there we go. Thank you, Aaron.
Easy.
Liv, would you like to read this one from Baron Breakfast, which is a question for Maddie?
Ooh, yes,
Oh,
okay.
sugar.
From Baron Breakfast.
Watch your liver.
I know. To Maddie. Who was your first D&D character, Maddie?
My first D&D character. I have like a two thing for this. So the very first game of D&D I ever played, I was the DM. But also it was the very first game I played. It was just me and my partner. And I also like wanted to play as a player as well. So I made like kind of a character for my cat. And then like I was also running it. So I don't know if that counts.
What's the cat playing?
What?
I can't remember. Maybe like a paladin, I think. And we try and like get him to sit at the table, and I would like have
Oh
his
my
character sheet.
God.
We'd like try and get him to roll
Oh
That
my
is
god, this
adorable.
is incredible.
because we thought we needed like we couldn't just do like one DM, one player. But
Yeah,
you
you
can
need
do
the
that. We
app.
didn't know because it was like my very first time. So I don't really remember that one because I was trying to do a lot of things. But like my first actual character was a druid called Una, and she was just your standard. I lived in the middle of the forest, and I just had my little plants and my little creatures, and she was just going around.
Yeah,
Doing
the best
that.
life.
Yeah, it's funny how your first character will literally be a stereotype of
Oh,
whatever
yeah.
class you're
Yes.
gonna be.
My
like.
rogue
Circle
was-
of the Moon,
Yeah,
obviously.
yeah.
I want to be animal. Great.
Yeah, my
Easy.
rogue was just I am rogue. I
Same.
have dual wielding,
Yeah.
and I like money.
Yeah, I like money. I'm brooding, and I'm just like, oh, it's me,
Yeah.
the rogue, and I'm gonna slice. And
You gotta
dice.
start somewhere.
Yeah. Mhm.
Cool. All right, thanks,
I will.
Baron Breakfast. Whichever
Baron
one
Breakfast.
or both
Baron.
of those. Yeah, the Baron. Cheers to the Baron. Mian, would you like to read this
Hello.
one from a retro futurologist, please?
Retro futurologist says, been a member for 6 months. Well
Yeah,
done.
thank you.
Yeah,
Thank you.
Question for everyone. Favorite jelly bean flavor? I've not eaten a jelly bean in a very long time. and I think that's because they've always got gelatin in them. But I
Ah.
imagine there's some that don't.
I've got a 1 kilogram tub in my kitchen right now that I could
sugar.
give you.
Oh, give me a whole.
For you, friend.
My favorite flavor is probably the white ones, from what I remember, like the cleary white ones. They were always quite. They just tasted sweet and slightly fizzy. My least favorite one, probably the green ones, because they were always lime. Why is green always lime and not apple? What is the problem here?
Apple's quite a hard flavor to get, isn't it?
Oh,
Lime's like
great.
easy.
Lime
Apple is great. I'm with
it
you.
should be apple.
Yeah.
I mean, I always think of the green ones as being like snot flavored, because I think as a kid I ate more of the like the every flavor
30
beans,
bucks.
than I did actual jelly beans. But for
they
various
all just
reasons I
taste
don't eat those anymore.
disgusting. Yeah.
But I like. I mean, I just like all jelly beans, basically, right? It's like
They're
I just
good.
love jelly beans. They're great.
The light blue ones or the pink ones. I think they're just very
Mm,
sweet.
Grapefruit, I think.
that's a
Yeah.
good one. Yeah.
Bubblegum-ish.
Or strawberry, maybe.
Lemon sorbet. I think there's a good lemon sorbet one that I like.
Like a fancy jelly bean.
Yeah.
I'm like the
Or just
white
like
one,
sharp lemon.
The white one.
and you're like, ooh, lemon sorbet.
It's because I mostly eat gimmick food, so I'm always easily tempted. If something's like, this is a weird flavor, I'm like, great, feed it
I
to
love
me.
that.
Now
So-
I'm imagining you dressed in a big top hat, and you've got a little monocle on, and like a suit with the ruffle.
Yeah,
And
it's
you're
me and
sat
Jeff
at a
Bezos hanging out on the
table.
moon eating lemon
Yeah,
sorbet
let's
jelly
start at the
beans.
table with Jeff Bezos, and you've got like a little plate, and on the plate is a single jelly bean, and you're like cutting it with your knife. And then you go,
I would never do that. I eat handfuls of jelly beans. Like, I think that's the thing, is I don't actually have a single flavor, because my favorite flavor of jelly bean is all of them.
The mix,
bullshit.
yeah.
Give me just
Like
to
a
pour
trough.
them into me. Just yeah.
I mean, I used to be, as a child, I was like fascinated by those machines where you put the money in, you put like a pound in or something, or like
I've
whatever,
got one of those.
and you turn them, and the sweets come out, and I was always like, oh, and you could. But do you remember you have the catalogs, and you can like buy those machines and then put sweets in them and put them in your house, as if like
it's like, oh,
like
great.
what's the point of that? Like,
It's a way to save money, right?
save
You
money,
kind
I
of-
guess, because you get a little
Um,
treat. Do you remember the little
They're called gashapons, by the way.
the gachapons?
Yeah.
The gachapons,
like
yeah.
gacha games.
The ones in Japan. I went to the Pokemon Center, and they've got a little gachapon, and I got a little Eevee. I've actually got it here. I got a little Eevee out of one.
What flavor is it?
Oh,
though?
that's like
plastic flavor.
brown.
And I was so excited. But yeah, and do you remember you could get the dairy milk, the little dairy milk dispenser things? They were like the coolest things when you were a kid. You're like, oh, can you imagine having one of those? You could like have dairy milk, and I'm like, you could just you can just buy a dairy milk bar, like.
Yeah, but that's the thing, is like food is much more enjoyable when it comes with a gimmick. It's like my goddaughter for Christmas once brought along like it was like a roulette spinner wheel thing, and it lands on a flavor of jelly bean, and it's like, whoa, is this the one that tastes like hot chilies, or is this the one that tastes like normal jelly bean? And it was like, well, this is so much more fun than eating like 50 jelly beans at once. I mean, I say that, but also,
Maddie, have you given your jelly bean flavors?
I have no favorite, but I have 2 absolute hates, and if you gave them to me, I'd never talk to you again.
Wow.
Again, they're like the fancy ones. Is it like the Jelly Belly ones? The ones where they have all the flavors. Cinnamon.
Oh
Disgusting.
yeah, I
Yeah.
remember that one not being
Horrid
great.
flavor.
Yeah.
Juicy pear, also grotesque.
Juicy pear?
Yes,
Juicy pear of
it's
what?
like it was so disgusting that I have a really distinct memory of how much I hate it.
is it green with like little like brown speckles?
yes,
like the
the
pear?
speckles.
Yeah.
Horrid.
Not good.
Unbelievably horrid.
All right,
Yeah.
there we go. There's the official Dicebreaker ranking of jelly beans.
Jelly beans.
From best to absolute worst.
Thank you, retrofuturologist. Maddie, would you like to read this question for Maddie from
Yes.
Kirby Rawstorn?
Question, Maddie. If you got transported to a D&D world, what class would real life Maddie be? I have 2 opinions on this. I think either a bard, because, you know, people who
Classic
do this kind of
choice.
job,
Yeah,
probably a bard,
charismatic,
you know,
yeah.
got a lot to say. I'm loud and annoying quite often.
Not true,
I like
but
doing things.
Get all the boys, girls, and people.
Mm-hmm.
All the attention.
All of them.
Can't relate to that bit, but I'm not very good at music, but you know, I'm here. I would like to be.
There are different kinds of
Or
performing.
exactly, yeah. Just being loud is one of those things.
Yeah, like when you're
That's
kids,
fine.
when you're a kid and then your parents are like, "Oh, she's performing again," like that kind of-
Yes, she's acting out.
Yeah.
That's it. Or a druid. I really like. My absolute dream in life, if I could have anything, is that all animals just liked me. That's like
that would
my
be amazing.
favorite thing.
The
Yeah.
Dr. Dolittle class, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh.
So that's like my greatest, most deepest desire. So that's why I think druid as well.
I want that, but pigeons specifically.
I mean,
Yeah,
they,
well, you
yeah,
can
I mean,
have
they do count
pigeons.
as like you might as well take all the other animals
Yeah.
with pigeons, right? It's like you don't need to limit you.
Not druids.
Yeah, but
Just
pigeons
imagine-
really like me.
You could
Oh,
go
okay,
outside,
yeah.
like all the
instead of all
pigeons.
animals liking you a bit, it's pigeons like you that amount, but a
Yeah.
single animal. Okay, right. Yeah.
Yeah.
But they all really like you to the point where like they will come up and like want to
Yeah.
hang out with you.
Yeah.
Like I could go into a forest and a bear would just be like, "Come up,"
Hey,
and
what
I could
up?
just stroke it and we'd
Yeah,
hang out,
it
and then
wouldn't
it would
attack
leave.
you.
Yeah, that's perfect.
And then you could
Did
ride
you hear
around.
about that giant bear that was like in the US? And
Yeah, it turned out to be two bears, right?
Mardu.
was it like it was different
What?
bears? They were
think,
they were
yeah.
actually different bears. I can't remember what the bear was
Or
called.
like one stood on top of the other.
The headline was
No.
literally like "Giant bear turns out to be two bears."
They-
Yeah,
they're
no,
trying to
they
show, is that what is happening here?
They
divides
thought it
like
was
a
the
cell.
same bear. It was the bear would like became so tame that it would like go into people's houses and steal food from the house. And
But
they
they're
were
not
like,
tame, they just do that.
Yeah,
It's
just
this-
leaves.
well, most of the time they just eat like from the garbage. But like these ones were like going in and the people were trying to get rid of them, and the bears were like, "I don't care, I'm just."
I'm a bear.
They
look
weren't
at me."
attacking. They were just like, "I'm just gonna take this pie or something." But then they realized it was more than one bear doing it. It was like because they like this bear is like striking so many households. Oh my god! And then they realized it was more than one bear.
Mm.
Double bears.
That
trap.
makes
There's a
sense. Like if
whole
one bear's doing
squad.
it and I'm a bear, I'd be like, okay, well I'm gonna get on what he's doing. So
Yeah, I'm gonna do
free
that.
pie.
I think the bear had a really great name as well. I can't remember what it was, but
I'd
carry
love
on.
to know. I was
Uh,
imagining like they thought it was a giant bear because it's like in a building and like the front of the bear is at one side and the back of the bear is the other side. But it's just two bears. And
It's just a really long
bears.
bear.
That's what I
Uh,
thought.
That's what
me
it's. There you go. Hank the Tank is
Hank
the
the
name of
Tank, that's it,
Hank
yeah.
Tank.
Which great name for a D&D character. I think.
Absolutely
Yes.
enormous bear.
My
Like,
next druid.
he's a unit,
love it.
absolutely. Yeah, Hank
Playing Honey
Tank.
Heist in real life. Let's finish off with one last question for Maddie from David Leonard Flanagan, who's been a member for 6 months of Dicebreaker Plus. Thank you.
Ew.
Question for Maddie: favorite root faction to play as?
Ooh, my issue with this is that I never have enough people in route. This is why I was saying how many do you need for the vagabond, because I only ever play with 2, max 3, and so we've
Yeah.
never actually got to play as the vagabond. So I have a limited selection on that. I have an expansion, but again, I think we couldn't play because we only had 2 people, so it's just sat on my shelf. So I like the cats. Just gonna go
He's the cat,
standard.
yeah.
I love cats. I love fancy little cats, and I love fancy little aggressive cats.
You do, yeah. Love capitalism.
Love
yeah.
that
Yeah.
cat.
Capitalism.
Love crushing my enemies under my heel as a cat.
Yes.
The cats are good. I like the cats.
They
yeah,
are fun.
I agree.
Good and easy.
Favorite one to
I
play
got-
though, Mr. Jarvis.
Sorry?
Favorite one to play.
Favorite one to play? I do like the Woodland Alliance. They are quite good. I mean, I think at this point I enjoy playing as all of the factions. I would say that the Eerie I like playing as less, probably. They're satisfying if it
The
works out. but
stress of
Yeah.
those
Stress.
damn
It's a lot.
birds.
The
It's
Vagabond
really
is pretty
fun,
as well,
but-
because the Vagabond's just like, I'm pottering around, just getting my stuff, and
Mm.
everyone else is fighting around me, which is quite funny. And then it's just like, I've got a crossbow, time to just dig in and take out this entire clearing, which is pretty cool.
For me, it's all about the Eerie. Eerie's my favorite. Genuinely think Eerie is my
That's
favorite.
fun.
Love that. Like it started off as being like, this is terrifying. What do I do?
Yeah.
But now I'm a master.
Weaponized
Ah.
pigeons.
Now because I've played Eerie so much, that I'm like, I just love it when it works out. And I've won as the Eerie multiple times. Like they're probably the faction I've won the most at.
Impressive.
Like they can absolutely dominate if you can get the rhythm right.
Play your decrees
Low-key
right.
flex.
Yeah, I like the cats and I like the woodland lions as well. Yeah, they're fun.
It's good. Root is good. And with that bombshell, that Root is still great.
Best game ever made, yeah.
Thank you for your questions if you sent them in. Thank you for listening if you've stuck around this long. That is this week's Dicebreaker podcast. Thank you, of course, to Liv, me, and Maddie for joining me on this here podcast. We will be back next Friday at 2 p.m. GMT. The clocks haven't changed just yet. After that, it'll be summertime. But for now, it's 2 p.m. GMT with more chatter about board games and tabletop stuff. Of course, you can find us in the meantime over on youtube.com/Dicebreaker, dicebreaker.com, and at Join Dicebreaker on Twitter. Go and check it out if you haven't already. There's loads of good stuff. But until we are back next Friday,
subscribe and like.
Subscribe, like, and ring the bell.
Hit the bell. Become a member.
All of that stuff.
Yes.
Until we meet again next Friday, thank you for listening. Look after yourselves. Stay safe out there. And most importantly, have a lovely day. See you soon. Goodbye.
Bye.